Hey students, my name is Ian Vincent. Our major course of study today is BAM 112, and we have a series of course outline. So the first thing we're going to be picking is simple interest and compound interest, and the second one is we have what we call the inequality, the indices and logarithms. Then we also have the simultaneous equation. We also have simultaneous linear equation. Then we have matrices and determinants. Then these are the things, these are the major course outlines we are going to be discussing today. Don't forget, I told you earlier that the course title is Business Mathematics and the course code is BAM 112. You can see that on the board. That is BAM 112. That is the course code. But the course title is Business Mathematics. That's Business Mathematics. Alright. Under the course outline now, which I will be stating here. The course outline, we have the arithmetic. That is the arithmetic. It's divided into two sections. Then the other segment is what we refer to as algebra. So under the arithmetic now, we are going to be talking about under the arithmetic, we are going to be talking about the simple interest and compound interest. We talked about the simple interest and what? And compound interest. That is simple interest. Simple interest. We also have compound interest. We have annuity. We also have a discount. That discounts and loss. So that is under arithmetic. So under the algebra now, under the algebra, so we have what we refer to as inequalities. Then we have indices and logarithm. We have indices and what? And logarithm. Then we also have variables. We talked about variables. Then we also have what we call the simultaneous equation. We talked about simultaneous equation. Then we also talked about the last one, which is matrices and determinants. That's the last one. We talked about the matrices and what? And determinant. As you can see on the board, these are the major course outline we are going to be treating for this term or section. So for the meantime, I will talk on the first one, which is simple interest. What is simple interest? Simple interest is simply the interest calculated on the initial principal amount over a certain period of time. That is the type of interest calculated on an initial principal amount over a period of time. And again, we have under the simple interest, when we have interest to be principal times rate times time, which is the formula over 100. That is, the interest is the calculation on the initial principal amount over a certain period of time. Now don't forget that principal has its own definition as well. Then we talked about what is principal. Principal is the money borrowed from the bank. That is the initial money you deposit or you borrow from the bank. Then we also have the rate. So rate, don't forget that rate is the interest rate. Is the interest rate on which is also refers to the annual rate of an interest. Then we also have the time. Time is the duration, the period by which we cover the money we borrow from the bank, or the duration by which you fix your money in the bank. Now these are what we are going to be facing under the simple interest. And we also have this calculation. We have examples and exercise on this interest. Alright, the first example I will bring out is I will use done as an example. Now quickly let's take this example under simple interest. The first example. Alright, on simple interest, don't forget that interest is equal to the principal times the rate times time all over what? All over 100. Alright, look at this particular question. And don't forget again, before I continue, I have explained to you that principal is the money you borrow from bank or the money you fix in the bank. And I told you that rate is the annual rate on the interest. And then we also say time is the duration in which the money is being borrowed. Alright, or the money you fix in the bank. The duration of that time is that is the time taken, or which is the period of time taken. Alright, look at this example. Let's take this first example as example number 1. So the question says that it said John borrowed a loan of 10,000 naira from the bank with an annual interest rate of 8%. If he repays the loan after 2 years, what will be the total interest he will pay? So this is a question. I would like to write it on the board. Now let me write it on the board so that you students can see that very well. So we have John. You see John borrowed. I told you earlier that the money borrowed is what we call the principal. A loan of 10,000 naira. Don't forget this is our principal from the bank. With an annual interest rate of 8%, full stop. Now you say if he repays the loan after 2 years, comma, what will be the total interest? What will be the total interest? What will be the total interest he will pay? Alright, this is the question. I think you can all see it, so you can write it down so that we can solve it immediately. Now, solution. The next thing now is solution. How do we go about it? Now, before you can solve this question, don't forget that this is a formula we're going to apply when solving the question. So the first thing is what we bring out the principal. What is our principal? The principal there is the money borrowed from the bank, which is a loan from the bank. So we write it out as principal P, which is equal to 10,000 naira. That's the money we borrow from the bank, right? Now the next thing is the rate, the annual interest rate, which is what? The rate charged per annum. The rate is 8%. That's 8%. Now He said if he repays the loan after 2 years, the time taken for him to repay the loan is what? 2 years. That's the time taken, the duration of the period he used the money. So now the question now says that what will be the total interest he will pay. Now to get the total interest rate, let me clean the other side so that you can see how we solve this. Now don't forget that this is the formula we're going to apply, and this is a question. This is a question, and we have we brought out the principal, which is 10,000 naira, the rate 8%, then we also have the time 2 years. Now I will clean this using the formula. Applying this formula, interest equals to principal times rate times time over what? Over 100. Now from that we have what? We have interest, which is the money we are looking for, what we are looking for. The principal is 10,000 naira. 10,000 naira times what? The rate, which is 8%, times time 2 years, all over what? All over 100. Now breaking it down, now you can see we have 0 zeros in the numerator, then we have 100 in the denominator. In our numerator we have 10,000 times 8 times what? Times 2. Don't forget it's 10,000 naira. Now in the denominator we have 100. Now what we do without making use of calculator, then we break it down. These are fractions, then we try to reduce it. So by saying the 0 here, we get rid of this 0, and this 0 we also get rid of this 0, and what is left is 100 naira times what? What is left is 100 naira times 8 times 2 all over what? All over 1. That's what is remaining. So your interest now will be what? Will be 100 times 8 will be equals to 100 naira times 8 times 2, which is still the same thing as 100 naira times 8 times 2 is what? Is 16. Now 60 times 100, therefore your total interest now, your interest now will now be equals to what? Your interest will now be equals to 1,600 naira. What you have multiply 100 times 16. 100 times 16 will give us 1,600 naira. Any question?